Hello and welcome to this live stream. In this stream, I'm going to be designing this landing page using the free version of Elementor. So everything on this landing page will be designed using the free version of Elementor. So at the end of this stream, you'll be able to design something very similar or the exact replica of this landing page if you followed my step-by-step guide. And without wasting time, let's get started with the tutorial. All right, so I already have my page created and I already have Elementor editor opened up right here. So the first thing we need to do is to create a new container. Then we're going to come here to click on this plus icon, add a new flex box, and we're going to go with this first option. Okay, so I'm going to be copying the text from this browser, from this tab over to this tab. The first thing we need to do is to add a class. I'm going to drop a link to download the CSS file in the description of this video. Once you grab that file, what you need to do is to go to your additional CSS for your WordPress website, and you need to paste that CSS file there. And then you will now grab the CSS class, and you will come to your advanced, come back here, you come to advanced, and under CSS classes, you're going to paste the class right here. And that is how you're going to get this grid background that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. Okay, so let's move on to the next stage. And the next thing we need to do is to start designing this landing page. The first thing we need to do is to work on this container. Let's come to paddings. And for the top, we're going to give it 250. For the bottom, we're going to give it 150. Okay, so let's add the text inside this container. The first text is the heading. We're going to come to our add elements. How we're going to drag in the heading. Okay, so the text says pricing that pays for itself on day one. We're going to replace the text right here, and we're going to come to style. We're going to align this to the center. We're going to come to typography. We're going to be using a vertical in this tutorial. So you might want to create a global font for vertical and all the settings that you're going to be needing. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be doing everything manually. So bear with me. For the font size, we're going to give it 60 pixels. And the letter spacing is going to be -4. Okay. And we're going to change the text color to white. All right. So this is looking good so far. What we need to do next is to add the subheading, which is this: choose the plan that fits your store size. Okay, and we're going to come to add elements. We're going to drag in the text editor, and we're going to replace this text right here. Okay, same thing. We're going to come to style. We're going to align this to the center. We're going to change the typography to Helvetica. Vertical, and we're going to give the font 18. We're going to make it 18 pixels, and we're going to come to letter spacing. We're going to give it -1 to make it compact. And yep, this is looking good. The last one I need to do is to change the color. Let me just copy the color code right here and come to text color and paste this right here. Let me just add the hash. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to add this toggle. We're not going to be creating this with Elementor though. I'm going to be giving you one HTML file that you can use to create this toggle. And what you just need to do is to probably give it to AI to change the text to fit into whatever you want to create for the pricing plan, because it is hard coded. The figures are hard coded inside this text, inside this HTML rather. So we need to come to our landing page, and what we need to do is to drag in another element called HTML. We're going to drag in HTML, and I am going to give you this file also in my description. You're just going to paste the file right here, and boom, there you have your monthly and your yearly toggle with the percentage of. If you want to change anything right there, so far you are conversant, you are familiar with CSS and a little bit of JavaScript, you will be able to change everything right here. Okay, and if you're not very familiar with it, you can just paste it into any area of your choice, and it's going to make the changes for you immediately. All right, so let's move on to the next stage. Before we move on, let's check tablets, and we're going to click on this pencil icon. We're going to come to advanced, and under advanced, we're going to come to width and make this custom, and then choose percentage, and we're going to give it 80 pixels. And we're going to come to edit for this one also. Come to advanced, and under advanced we're going to come to width, change this to percentage, and make this 80. And what we can just do is to select this whole container, come to layouts, and we're going to center this. All right, so this is looking good. And on mobile, this is also looking good. So we're going to come back to desktop, and let's continue designing. Next thing we're going to design is this card, and this is one of the interesting parts of this tutorial. So please watch carefully as I'm going to be designing this card. All right, the first thing we need to do for this card is to come back to our editor, and we're going to come to add elements. We're going to drag in a grid. Okay, we're going to drag in a grid, and for the grid we are going to use 1 row and 3 columns for the desktop. 1 row and 3 columns for the desktop. Okay, now for the first part, let's look at this. For the first card, we are going to come back here to add a new element, and we're going to drag a container inside this grid. Okay, we're going to drag a container inside the grid. Now the next thing we need to do after dragging the container inside the grid is to then continue to drag all this text inside the container. Okay, so we're going to start from the bootstrapper. One thing I need to do first is to come here to add a new element, and we're going to drag in our heading elements. Okay, since we have our heading elements right there, we are going to change the HTML tags to H3, and we're going to copy this text that says the bootstrapper, and we're going to replace this right here. Okay, so let's quickly style this. We're going to come to style, and under typography we are going to change the font size to let's go with 25. We're going to change the font size to 25. We're going to change the weight to 500, which is about medium, and we're going to change the font color to white, and let's change this to a vertical before I forget. A vertical. Okay, so this is looking good. And later on in the course of this tutorial, let's just make the changes because I have all the values with me. We're going to come to advanced, and we're going to add a little bit of margin to the top to give it space. Okay, we're going to add 10 pixels to the top. Let's come back to style. I forgot one last thing, and we're going to add -2 letter spacing to this text. Now this is looking good. The next thing we need to do is to add this subtext. Okay, we're going to come to add elements, and we're going to add a new text editor, and we're going to replace the contents of the editor with this. Okay, we're going to come to style. Another style, we're going to come to typography. We're going to change this to a vertical, and the font size is going to be 15, and we're going to give this -0.5, and let's come down to text color, and we're going to make this white. Am I sure this is 15 pixels? Okay, it looks a little bit smaller than I expected, and let's just move on. So the next thing we're going to do is to create this price tag. To create this price tag, what we're going to do is to then come here to add elements. We're going to drag in a container. Okay, now we're going to make this horizontal, and we are going to drag in 2 headings. We're going to drag in first heading for this price and the second heading for this. So we're going to come here, drag in the heading, and we're going to change this to $24. We're going to make this H4, and the font for this is going to be 30 pixels. And as usual, we're going to be using a vertical, and we're just going to give this -0.5. And one last thing is that we're going to add a class so that the JavaScript is going to know what it is going to change by the time we use this toggle button. So we're going to add this class right here. If you want, you can also change this right inside this code that I gave you earlier. And lastly, we're going to come to style, and we're going to make these whites. Okay, so there we have it. The next thing we need to do is to add this second part that says per month. We're going to just be using this per month. Let me turn off this. So we're going to use per month. And what we need to do is to come down here. We can add a new heading. The heading is supposed to be inside this container. Let's just see whether I can duplicate this one instead. Okay, so we're going to replace the text, the content of the text, and we're going to come to style. Another style, we're going to reduce the size of this particular one to 20, and the weight is going to be 400, and yep, everything else works well as it is. Now the next thing we're going to do on this list is to add our icon list. For the icon list, we're going to come down here to search for icons. So drag in icon lists. Okay, let's just put it on top, and let's open up Navigator instead of battling with that. So we're going to drag this down right to the bottom. Nope, not inside. We're going to make it outside. First of all, let me bring this up. Let me close these and then bring this down. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is to add this first text. We're going to come here and we're going to change this. Okay, let me just delete these options, these other options. I'm going to come to style. Under style, we're going to come to text. Under text, we're going to come to typography, and we're going to go with Helvetica. We're going to go with Helvetica, and we're going to give it font size of 15 and also minus 0.5. And we're going to change the color to white. And let's change the color for the icon also before I forget. The color for the icon is going to be this shade of green. Let me just paste the color code right here. You can use the same color code for your project if you want to follow along with me. Then what I need to do is come to content, and we're going to just duplicate these about 4 times. Then we're going to come to style. I'm going to add a little bit of space in between all these lists. So let's just add 5. Okay. So the last thing we need to do is to just come here to add a new element. Okay. And what I'm going to be doing is to add a button. So I'm going to drag a button right here. And let's style this button. For the button, we are going to change the text to start free trial. Start free trial. Okay. So all right, so let's move on. Start free trial. And we're going to come to style. Another style, we're going to stretch this. Okay. And let's just align the text to the center. All right. So let's start to style this button one after the other. Starting from the typography, we're going to go with Helvetica. And we're going to use 15 pixels. 15 pixels. And we are going to come down here to the letter spacing to give it minus 0.5. Okay. And yep, let's change the color. We're going to change the color for this background, the background color. Let me just copy the color code I have right here, and we're going to come to background type, and then we're going to come to color and paste this color there. Then one last thing I need to do is to add a solid width of 1 pixels all around. I'm going to change the border color to this particular shade of gray. Okay, so let's see what we have at the moment. This is looking good. The last thing we just need to do is to add padding. Come to padding, add 20 pixels all through, and then border radius, add 10 all through. And then we're going to have something that looks good and similar to this. So, okay, so one thing we just need to do is to edit this main card itself. We're going to click on this edit container. And we're going to choose this option that says space between, and we're going to choose column vertical. All right, so what we now need to do is to add a little bit of margin to this card itself. So we're going to click on this edit container. We're going to come to advanced, and under advanced, we're going to add a little bit of margin to the top. We're going to add a padding to the top. We're going to add 70 to the top. We're going to add about 70 to the bottom also. And we're going to add 20 to the right and then 20 to the left. Okay. So one thing we need to do is to okay, I made a mistake. Actually, I made a mistake. Sorry about that. One thing we need to do is to first of all, let's come back to add elements. We're going to drag in a container. I noticed one thing I didn't work, and that was how I found out. For example, when I clicked on this edit container, I came to layout and I said space between. With space between, the content, this content, the bootstrapper, the heading and everything is supposed to be at the top, while the button is supposed to be at the bottom. But that didn't work, and that was how I found out I missed something very important. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's close this let's open this container, and we're going to drag in a new container right here. Okay, we're going to have a new container right here, and we're going to drag in everything inside this container. We're going to drag in this bootstrapper. We're going to drag in this text. Okay, we're going to drag in this particular container also, and also this icon list is going into this container. Okay, oh nope, that's not it. Let's drag this in from here. Okay, all right. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to remove the gaps in between this container. We're going to come to edit container, and we're going to remove all these gaps. Same thing is going to happen to this. we are going to remove all the gaps. And we're going to come to advanced and we're going to remove all the paddings as well. All right. But to give it a little bit of breathing space, we're going to come to layouts and we're going to add 5 to the colon to give this text a little bit of breathing space. And also we can then come to advanced, and under advanced we can add margin to this pricing to give it space between this pricing and then this text. Also, let's add a little bit of margin to the top. Let's add 10 to the top. Okay. And for the title also, for the title we can add a little bit of margin to the bottom. Can add a little bit of margin to the bottom. And actually, let's just remove the margin we added to the top earlier on. I don't think there's any need for that anymore. All right, so let's come back to the edit container, and we're going to add color to the background to make it pop out from our normal black background. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to come to advanced. No, we're going to come to style. Another style, we're going to come to background type. And let me grab the color for this particular background that I have here. Okay, so come to colon and then we're going to come to style, and I have 0A, 0A, 0A. Okay, this is what we're going to be using. And we're going to come to border, come down to border, we're going to add 10 pixels all round. And let's see what we have here. Okay, this is looking similar to this. All right, but there is one last thing we need to do. We need to give it a little bit of breathing space between this icon list and the pricing tag. All right, so what we need to do is just click on this pencil icon. We're going to come to advanced. We're going to unlink these values, and then we're going to add about 10 to the top. Okay, so we are getting there. We are getting there, but it seems like the space between is not actually working at the moment. But before we do that, let's just come to edit container, and we're going to come to layouts, and we're going to we're going to align the items to the center. Okay, now here's what we can just do. Let's duplicate this, and let's also duplicate this. Okay, so what we can just do is just replace the text, but that is going to take too long for this live stream. But let me just change the pricing. Let me change the pricing for this to 99. All right, and let's change the color for this text and for this button rather. Okay, to change the color for that particular button is very simple. We're just going to copy the color. Let me copy the color code for the button right here. We used it earlier for the icons. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to come to style. Another style, we're going to come to color, and we're going to replace the color. It's as simple as that. And we're going to replace the color. Now, we added something to the top here that says most popular. That one also is very simple. What we need to do is to just add a text. We're going to add a title, and we're going to come to add elements. We're going to add an heading to the very top. And the heading is going to be most popular. All right, now let's come to style, and for the font size is going to be 20 pixels, and we are going to give it a font weight of 600. We're going to reduce letter spacing by minus 1.5 pixels, and yep, what we can then do is to change the color. We used green for this. Let's just come down to text color and paste this green also. And one thing we can just do is to let's remove the padding for this. Okay, and I think we should also remove the padding right here also. All right, so having removed the padding, we can then give a little bit of distance, a little bit of space, breathing space between the growth engine text and then the most popular text. So how do we do that? We are going to use margin. So for the most popular, we are going to give it a margin, come to advanced, and we're going to unlink this and give it a margin of 10. And we can also give this bootstrapper a, okay, let's reduce the, okay, we're going to leave it as this. I think it looks good as this. What we can then do is just click on this container, and let's just give it negative margin to pull it to the top. Okay. All right, so that is how you can replicate this style that I have here. Okay, so let's move on. And before we actually move on, let me check something with the padding for this. Okay. And let me cross check that with my own backup that I have here, just to be sure we are doing everything the same way I have it in my demo websites, in my demo landing page. All right. So what I can do at this point is to click on publish. Let's publish the change and let's view this page. All right. So by the time we just click on this toggle, let's wait for the, okay, by the time we click on this toggle, okay, the text are not going to change at the moment. Here is what we can do to make that change. As you can see, this 24 is already changing, but this 99 is not changing. We need to add our CSS class to that also. Let me come down to my demo page here, and let me just copy the class. The class is called growth price. Then we're going to come down here and we are going to come to advanced, and we're going to add growth price here and click on publish. All right, so by the time we reload this page and we toggle this button, you can see this is changing as we want it to change. All right, so let's move on. And before we move on, I think I missed something. Okay, it's supposed to show build annually, but it's not displaying that at the moment. Let's see what is happening. Okay, so inside this file, and let's just scroll down. Did I hard code this inside this file? I haven't forgotten how I did this. It's been a while. Or did I use a custom text? Did I use a custom CSS for to show the build annually? Let's see. Come to advanced. All right, and yearly. Okay. Control F. Let me just go build. All right. Okay. All right. So it's supposed to work with this HTML that I gave earlier on. If we should scroll down, we can see if bootstrapper text is okay. The GSS this JS file is actually there, but it is not triggering this thing as it's supposed to be. Let's do something. Let's come to per month. I think I have some CSS for that particular one. All right. So let me just copy that. I'm going to come to per month. We're going to come to advanced, and we are going to change this to text. And also we're going to change for the second one to see how it is going to look like, and we're going to copy that also. We're going to come to advanced, and I am going to change the CSS class. So let's just publish this page and let's refresh. All right, so now by the time we toggle this option, we're going to see build annually and build per month. Okay, so let's move on to the next, which is going to be this table that we have here. Okay, so let's move on to creating that particular table. To create the table, we're going to add a new section. All right, so we're going to come to flexbox and we're going to add direction colon. And for this table also, I created this with HTML. Okay, like the same way you can do for the toggle. For this particular toggle, this is the same way you can do for this HTML table. You can just give it to AI with the details of the table and the details you want to change inside that table, and it's going to make the changes for you immediately. So what I'm going to do is to just come here to advanced, and we're going to come to advanced. Another advanced, we're going to give this padding of 100 to the top. I'm going to give it 100 to the bottom. All right, and then the style is going to be, we change the background color to, I think we use plain black. Let me confirm that. Come to style, and yeah, we use plain black. Now what I can do next is to come to add elements. How we're going to search for HTML, and I'm going to drag in HTML right here. Okay, so I'm going to copy the code for the table and I'm going to paste it right here. So there we have it. There is my table that I used for this landing page. So let's just see whether there is nothing that I'm missing at the moment. Let me check. Give me a few seconds. Okay, and collapse this, collapse that. All right. All right, so we are good to go. Let's just view this, how it looks like on desktop and how it looks like on tablets. For tablets, we're going to make a little bit of change. Let's come to advanced. Let's unlink this. Okay. And we're going to just add 20 to the right and 20 to the left. Okay. Nope, not 2. We're going to add 20. Okay. All right. And let's just add about 100 to the top and also 100 to the bottom. Let's say for mobile. For mobile also, we can leave it the way it is. We can leave it the way it is for mobile. And let's come back to desktop. All right, so let's continue designing. The next thing we're going to be designing on this landing page is this testimonial section. All right, so to design this testimonial section, here is what we're going to do. We're going to scroll down and we're going to add another background. Come down here, click on flex box, and we're going to come to style and we're going to make this plain black. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to add a new container, or we can just go ahead and use this, but let's just drag in a new container. Okay, so we have our new container right here. The first thing we're going to do is to change the color. We're going to change the color to, let me copy the color code. We're going to use this particular shade of black, or what I call it gray. We're going to come to style. We're going to come down here to paste these color codes. And the next thing we need to do is to start building the content inside this testimonial. So click on the plus icon. The first thing is going to be star rating. We're going to drag in the star rating right here. Okay. Let me confirm something. We have an image, we have a container, and we have text editor. All right. Moving on, we're going to drag in a text editor for this testimonial. So we're going to come down here to add elements, and we're going to drag in a text editor. And we're going to add a container. We're going to add another container. And this container is going to contain, well, this container is going to hold our image and the text that we have right here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to drag in, okay, we have the container right there. We're going to drag in image, and we're going to drag in, let's use an heading. Let's use an heading. We're going to drag in this heading. Okay, so let's start formatting this. For this text, we have this. Let me copy, and we're going to replace this right here. What did I just do? What did I just do? Oh my god. First of all, let me publish this change. I don't know. I mistakenly pressed the shortcut. I've never tried this before. Oh, I think I know what I did just now. But that's too late. It is reloading. And actually, let me just confirm whether the stream is moving smoothly, because I'm not monitoring the stream at the moment. Let me listen to myself. All right, so we are getting the. Okay, so we are back. We are back. So let's edit the contents of this testimonial. I'm going to Control A and I'm going to Control V. All right. So first thing first, we're going to style. First thing first, we're going to style. We're going to come to style, Another style, we're going to come to typography. Another typography, we're going to go with 25 pixel. And no, let's go with 24. And we're going to change the fonts to Helvetica. Helvetica, we are going to give it a letter spacing of -1 pixel. We're going to give it a letter spacing of -1 pixel. And we are going to give it a line height of 25 pixels. 25 pixels. All right. And lastly, we're going to change the text color to white. All right. So let's move on to the image. Let's see whether I have an image to use. Let's use the image I used on the demo page. We have this image right here. What we're going to do is to, first of all, change the border radius. Let's come to style. Border radius is going to be 50. All right, so we have 50 border radius. For the width, we're going to go with 50 pixels. Let me change this to pixels. And for the height also, I'm going to go with 50 pixels. I'm going to go with 50 pixels. And object fits, where is the option for object fits? It's supposed to be here. Back to content, style. Okay, let's change this back to 50. All right. Object fit is going to be cover. All right. So this is looking good. What we can then do is to first of all come to this container, and we're going to make this row. We're going to make this row, and we're going to change the text for the heading. Let's copy this. And for the heading, we are going to paste this right here. All right. I think I used the HTML tag to break this. Let me confirm that real quick here. Yep. We're going to have open this. Is this, what do they call it? I forgot in English. I'm not that used to HTML. And we're going to just close this. All right. Now we're going to come to style. Another style, we are going to change this font size to 16. And line height is going to change to 1.2, and the letter spacing is going to be around -0.5, -0.5. Okay. So we're going to come back to this container. Let's center this to the middle. And yep, we are getting there. We are getting closer to what we have here. One thing we can just do is to come to style, and let's select this text. We're going to come to text color, and let me copy this color code to replace with this. Okay, so we have something very similar to what we have on our demo landing page. All right. Lastly, let's change the text, the font family to Helvetica. All right, I knew something was off. I was trying to find out what was off. And lastly, we're going to add this button that we have here, 34% abandoned cart recovered. So to do that, so what we need to do is to come to add elements, and we're going to add a text editor to the bottom. We're going to add a text editor to the bottom. Now, the text is going to say plus 34% abandoned carts recovered. So we're going to paste the text right there. All right. So first thing we need to do is to come to advanced. Another advanced, for desktop, we are going to make this custom, and we're going to use percentage and make this 20%. All right, so we're going to come to style, typography, and we're going to change this to Helvetica. The font size is going to be about 12 pixels, and the text color is going to be this accent green. Let me just copy the color right here. And we're going to come down to text color to paste these. And we're going to have a background color. We're going to come to advanced. I'm going to come to background. I'm going to come to classic, open this background, and I'm going to paste this color code for this background right here. Okay. So another thing we're going to add is padding. Let's come to layouts, and let's add paddings to, we're going to add paddings to the top. Let's add paddings to the top 3. Sorry. We're going to add 3. And to the bottom, we're going to add 3. All right. So what we can then do is to align this Let's come to style, align this to the center, align that to the center, and let's see how it is looking so far. All right, so one thing we need to do is to add a border to, differentiate it from this background. We're going to come to advanced, and we're going to come to border. Another border we're going to come to solid. We're going to go with 1, and let me just copy the border color we're going to be using. All right, I'm going to paste the border color right here, and the border radius is going to be 20, and there we have it. One last thing we can do is to reduce the gap between these what is it called, between this container. All right, so let's come back to the main container itself that is housing everything, and we are going to come to style. Another style, we're going to come to border. Let's give it 5 pixels all around, and let's come down here to add 50 pixels all around as padding. Okay, and we're going to come to layouts and unlink all these values. All right, so what we can do is to add, let's say we're going to add 5. Let's see how it's going to turn out. Let's add 5, and let's make it 10. Let's make it 10. Okay, and let's see how it's looking compares to our demo landing page. Okay, I think there's one more thing we can do. We can snatch all these things together to to bring it closer. Okay, let's see what we can do about that. Let me return back here, and for this we are going to remove the padding. Let's remove the padding for this. Let's come to advanced and unlink all this padding. Okay, I think it looks better this way. Definitely looks better this way. It's better to snatch all the details together than having them just spread out. One thing we can just do is to separate this to give it a little bit of space between this testimonial text and this client's detail. So let's just come to margin and let's add 5 to the top. Okay, so this is looking good. Let's see how it looks like on tablets and on mobile before we move on to the next. All right, so on tablets it is not that bad, although there are a few changes we can make, but so far this is actually quite good. All we can just do is to come to edit container, and we're going to come to advanced, and under advanced we are going to change the values to 100 at the top. We're going to give it 20 to the right, 100 at the bottom, and 20 to the left. And this abandoned text is going to be let's change the percentage for that. Let's come to custom, let's change it to percentage, and we are going to be using, let me confirm, we're going to be using 40% on these tablets. To be using 40% on tablets, and on mobile we are going to be using 100% on mobile. All right, so this actually looks good. We can move on to the next stage, which is called frequently asked questions. Let's come back to desktop, and let's add paddings to this. We're going to unlink all these, and let's add 100 to the top and 100 to the bottom. All right, and let's move on to the next, which is the frequently asked questions. So as usual, we're going to add a flex box. We're going to add a direction. We're going to add this colon, and we're going to come to style. We're going to use the plain black. Okay, I'm starting to lose my voice. It's not easy making this type of videos. So if you're watching this video, please make sure you like and comment, subscribe. Just make sure the algorithm push out these videos to people that are going to be interested in this particular content. It's not easy making this type of content, honestly. All right, let's move on to the next, which is frequently asked questions. And let's come to advanced. Another advanced for desktop, we're going to add 100 to the top and 100 to the bottom. All right, and let's come to layouts. We're going to reduce the width. As you can see, this frequently asked question is not starting from this section. It is starting here and it is ending here. To do that, we're going to come to width, and we're going to reduce the width to 800. 800 pixels works fine. All right, so let's move on. We're going to drag in an element. heading elements. We're going to change this to H3. I'm going to paste in the text there, frequently asked questions. We're going to come to style, center the text. We're going to come to typography. We're going to select 40 and we're going to make it Helvetica. We're going to change the font family to Helvetica. And for the weights, let's leave the weight as it is. We don't have to touch the weights. We just have to come to letter spacing and give this -3. And then lastly, we're going to come to text color and give this whites. Now, the next thing we need to do is to add this, whatever is called this accordion, or is it called tabs or accordion? We're going to add this to the frequently asked question. Now, what we're going to do is to come to add elements and we're going to search for accordion. And I can't remember the particular one I used. Let me confirm real quick so I don't give you guys the wrong step. All right, we're going to go with this option that says accordion. Okay, this is the option I used. Okay, now we can start styling this accordion to make it look exactly the way we have it right there. Now, the first thing we need to do is to, let's add a little bit of details. Do I need to know how to code to use flowcards? I'm going to come down here and we're going to paste this text. And the response, what is the response? We're going to copy the response. And we're going to drag a widget, which is going to be a text widget, inside there. And we're going to paste this. Okay. So let's start editing this. So, the title for the accordion, we're going to come to style and we're going to come to this accordion. We're going to come to style and the title is going to be, let's come to header. The title is going to be Helvetica. Actually, I'm going to take my time to check the settings very well. As you can see, I keep on moving to my second screen to check the values so as to give you the direct value to use so you don't have to guess anything in your own projects. All right, so I might take time trying to find the exact values for this one so I won't make mistakes. So we're going to go with Helvetica. Okay, and let me just come here and we're going to come to style. We're going to open up accordion. Space between is going to be 10. All right, and we're going to come to background type. We're going to come to color. Let me copy the color code I have here and let me paste it right there. All right, so that is the color code for normal. Let's move on to hover and active. I use the same color code for both of them, over, active, and normal. All right, now let's add border radius. We're going to add 10 as border radius and the padding is going to be 15. We're going to add 15. We're going to add 20. We're going to add 15 and we're going to add 20. Okay, so starting with the header, we are going to come down to typography. We already have it as Helvetica. We're going to change the font size to 18. The typography font weight is going to be 600 and the letter spacing is going to be -0.7 and yep, the normal font color is going to be white. And the over title color is going to change from white to, okay, we're going to leave it as white also. We're going to leave it as white. The active is going to change from white to this shade of green. All right, so next we need to do is to change the content background color. So we're going to edit this content background color. We're going to copy this color code that I have here and we're going to come to style, classic, and we're going to change this background. Okay, let's see whether I'm actually making good change. Do I need to change the background? I didn't change the background. Let's remove this background. Sorry about that. Let's remove the background. All we need to do is to work on the font itself. Come to style, typography. We're going to come to Helvetica. We're going to use Helvetica. We're going to use 16 pixels and the fonts, we're going to use -0.5 and we're going to use the text color is going to be white. Text color is going to be white, and we have to remove this border that we have here. We're going to remove that border that we have there. Let's come to border, none. So where is he inheriting this border from? Let's come to accordion. Let's come to accordion, and let me confirm where the border is being inherited. Contents border. Let's come to contents border. Let's select none. All right. For the header also, accordion border, let's say none. Okay. That is how you can, arrive at this design that I have here. So we're going to come to contents. We're going to delete this, and then we're going to duplicate this and duplicate this. How many do we have? We have 4, and also duplicate this. Okay, so here we have our frequently asked questions. What we can just do is to give a little bit of spacing between the frequently asked questions and the questions itself. So what we need to do is to add a little bit of gap. We need to add a little bit of gap to the accordion and also to the response. And let's just click on edit container, and let's unlink these values. And for row, we can give it, let me confirm, we can give it 40, and let's see tablets. For tablet version, let's edit this container. For the tablet version, we are going to edit the container, and let's come to advanced. Let's come to advanced. And under advanced, we're going to add a little bit of padding to the right and left, and we're going to add 100 to the top and 100 to the bottom. Okay, and mobile looks good the way it is. There is no need to change anything. So the next thing we're going to do is to create this final step that gives the call to action, and we're going to call it a wrap. Oops, nope, cancel, and let me publish the change. Now we're going to come to desktop, and we're going to add a new container. Come to style, and we're going to change this to black, and let me confirm whether my stream is still running. Yep. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to add this text. The first thing we're going to do is to add this text. Let me scroll down. Setup takes less than 5 minutes. We're going to copy that text, and we're going to come down here to drag in a text editor, and we're going to replace the text. We're going to replace the text, and we're going to come to edit container, and we already changed the background color. And yep, let's just come to these edit text and come to style. We're going to center this to the middle. Now what we're going to do is to change the font color, because we used green for this. Then we're going to come to text color. Let me copy the color code. Okay, then we're going to come to typography. We're going to use Helvetica. All right, and font size is going to be 14, and let's give this minus 0.5. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is to add the call to action itself. We're going to come to add element. We're going to add heading, and we're going to copy this and replace it right here. Then we're going to change this to H3, and we're going to come to style. Another style, we're going to center this, and we're going to change this to Helvetica, and the font size is going to be let's go with 50. We're going to go with 50, and the font width, let's go with 700. Okay, letter spacing, we're going to give it -3 pixels. We're going to give it -3, and the font color is going to be white. Now we're going to come to advanced, and width, we're going to come to custom width, and for desktop we're going to give this 60%. 60%. Come back to this main container, come to layouts, and we're going to align this to the center. Okay. And the next thing is this call to action. I said call to action. The next thing is this subheading. We're going to drag in the heading widgets, and I'm going to replace the text with this. I'm going to come to style. Another style, we're going to change this to Helvetica, just as we've been using Helvetica. And we are going to use 18 pixels for this, and letter spacing is going to be -1. And that is all about this. The next thing we're just going to do is to add a color, change the color to white. And let's come to advanced. Under advanced, and let's see, we don't need to change the width for this one. It's actually looking good as it is. Next thing we're going to do is to use this button, to create this button. Let's just come back here. Let's copy this button and let's paste it here. It is the same thing. It's the same thing. So we're going to paste this there. All right. So the thing we just need to do with this button is to come to padding, and to the we're going to give it 18 to the top, and to the right we're going to give it 40, to the left we're going to give it 40, and to the bottom we're going to give it 18. Okay, and that is all about it. Okay, and we're going to change the text to start generating flows today. Come to content and type in starts generating flows today. All right. And we have this text here right here that says no credit card, cancel anytime. What we can do for that is to come to add element, and we're going to add a text editor. And let's copy the text, no credit card required, cancel anytime, and paste this right here. We're going to come to style. We're going to come to typography. We're going to edit the typography to Helvetica. We're going to use 14 pixels. We're going to go with -0.5. -0.5, and then we're going to use this shade of off-white color. I'm going to paste the color right there. Okay. So, yep. The next thing we now need to do is to properly structure this container itself. So for the whole container, we're going to come here to advanced, and we're going to add 120 to the top and also 120 to the bottom. Okay, 120 to the top, 120 to the bottom. Now let's move on to tablets. For tablets, we are going to change a little bit of things. Let's add 20 to the right, 20 to the left, 120 to the top, 120 to the bottom. And we can also change for this text right here. We can also change something. We can come to width, come to custom, we can choose percentage, and we can go with 60%. 60% comes to style, and we're going to align this to the center. Okay, and we're going to come to mobile. For mobile, we are going to return this back to 100%, and this one also. For this text, we are going to increase this back to 100% as well. Back to 100%. And I think the font for this mobile is too big, so let's go with 40. And the text editor also, we can come to style, let's go with 17, 18. Let's leave it as 18. It's actually looking good. It's better for it to be bigger than to be smaller. All right. And then we come back to desktop, and everything is looking good as it is. Okay. Let me just see what I can change to make it look even better. We can decide to reduce the spacing between all these texts by coming to layouts and remove this, and then maybe add about 10. Maybe add about 10 to make it, to bring things closer. Okay, so this is actually looking good, and we have come to the end of this tutorial. We've been able to create this landing page that is responsive across all devices. using just the free version of Elementor. So let's actually save this. Let's publish this page and let's see how it looks like. So we're going to come to our pricing page and we're going to control R. No, this is not the landing page actually. Let's use the landing page we just built. Okay, so we have our text here that says pricing that pays for itself on day one. We have our monthly and yearly to good, and then we have the button to purchase each plans, and then we have our price, our table to compare the prices, to compare our pricing option, and then next we have this testimonial section that we created here to add a review from a user, and then we have our frequently asked questions, and lastly we have our call to action. So I hope you've learned something interesting, something knowledgeable inside this tutorial, and if you did, kindly click on the subscribe button to see more of my content like this, and also turn on the bell notification so that you'll be notified anytime I release a new video. And if you have any questions, any suggestions, anything, I know this live stream was a little bit sloppy. I didn't actually prepare for it per se, but here we have it. We're done with the live stream. I promise my next live stream is going to be way better than this, and I'm going to be more prepared. Okay. And so just drop any comments for me, any suggestions, anything you might have, any idea for my next video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching and see ya.